and to In Marketing We Trust for having me and for hosting this webinar. I'll admit that I'm relatively new to the Travel Massive community, but have already met a number of fascinating people from all over the world through the platform. So far it's been great. We even just wrapped up our very first Instagram takeover with a travel blogger that I met on here. So thank you for supporting such an inspiring, diverse group of people who are as passionate about travel as I am. It's great. I did take some time to go through the list of people who were registered for this event, and I'm blown away by all the businesses, ideas, promotion, and support of travel experiences that are out there, and find it very exciting to be part of a community that supports each other as much as this one. So thanks again for having me. With that, I might as well a little bit of an introduction. As Kirsty mentioned, my name's Natasha Spokes. I'm the CEO of Far Closer Travel. We're an online marketplace that connects travelers seeking authentic, life-enriching multi-day tours with the companies around the world who are providing them. Through both personal and professional experiences, we found that some of the most unique, meaningful travel experiences are provided by niche tour operators who are either local experts and who know an area better than almost anyone, or are subject matter experts. So like cycling tours, those who know how to travel in a particular way better than anyone. Unfortunately, because these operators are more specialists than generalists, they often get overlooked by traditional distribution channels because of their size, which makes it hard for their perfect clients to find and book with them. There's quite a lot of bias in the industry that favors the big mainstream brands, so we wanted to build a platform to help these niche brands get their stories out and attract more customers. I didn't want to turn this into a sales pitch, but I wanted to share a little bit of it to provide a bit of context to this webinar. So first things first, who this webinar is for. So this is going to be aimed at the types of tour operators I just described. So the ones who offer really unique travel experiences for their guests, but don't necessarily have the scale or the budgets to compete head to head with some of the more mainstream brands. And as you'll hear, this can actually be a good thing, especially these days with travelers' values and what they're searching for changing a bit. So these operators are typically planning itineraries and logistics to take groups of travelers on multi-day experiences around their destination. What we're going to talk about, so I'm going to share some of the insights that we've heard in talking to travelers about what they're looking for when researching trips and some of the struggles that they run into. I'll also share some of the things we hear when talking to potential partners and looking at various operators out there. We're always learning new things and discussing new opportunities with all of our audiences. So hopefully a few of the ideas will resonate with you and could be things that you could implement in your business. So in the next 30-ish minutes, we'll walk through sort of the 3 stages that are closely linked with your business if you're a tour operator. As you know, there is much more to a tour than just the tour itself. So we'll go through some opportunities in the pre-trip phase. So the phase when travelers are researching their options and deciding what they want to do when making their booking. Then we'll talk about the on-the-ground experience when the traveler is in your care, essentially. And then we'll look at some post-trip ideas that you can consider once your guests have completed their tour. So the pre-trip portion of travel for your guests involves a number of stages, each one involving opportunities for you to stand out and grab their attention and start to build trust. We'll touch on a few things here, including having a target audience, making it convenient for your ideal guests to find and book, offering planning tools that match their booking habits, and being upfront about inclusions and exclusions, and knowing what your guests are looking for. So first up is being targeted. As a business owner, I know how hard and sometimes how scary it can be to think about being laser focused on a particular type of customer. You sort of feel like you're going to be excluding potential guests, but almost every marketing guide you read will tell you how important this is, But when you really just want to sell seats on your tour, it can be tempting to try and be everything to everyone because you don't want to miss out on a potential sale. Some large companies with millions of dollars in operational and marketing costs can afford to offer something to a wide range of people. But if you don't have those kinds of resources, it's often helpful to focus on a particular group of travelers so that you can serve that group better than anyone else can. Traditionally, companies have used demographics to categorize their target customer, but we're finding that more and more aligning your messaging with particular psychographics, so how people think, what they value, is often more effective. For example, with more and more millennials placing higher value on experiences than on owning things, they're spending more on travel at a younger age than baby boomers were at their age. So basing your target segment on age or marital status may not be the best indicator. Rather, differentiators like being passionate about wildlife conservation or art history or something specific like that that covers a range of demographics but still lets you be very focused on your messaging. You really just want to make it easy for your ideal guests to self-select that your trip is right for them. So you can talk to them about the emotional alignment of your trip to their interests. If you can do that, you're more likely to pique their interest and get them that one step closer to booking. You can see on this slide that Tour A and Tour B are likely going to suit very different types of people. And if you manage to sell Tour A to someone looking for some extreme adventure with lots of free time, you're likely not going to end up with a happy client, no matter how good the tour is. So it's just a sort of a visual example of being specific about who your tours cater for. We always ask our partners who their ideal guests are, and when they say everyone, it makes it hard to know who will enjoy their trips. And we all know that people are much quicker to share negative experiences than good ones. So the better you can identify who your trips are for, the more you'll be able to attract the ones who will love what you're doing. And be proud of what makes you different from other tour operators out there. This is where we see niche operators having a huge advantage in the market. You can offer something so unique, and it's those points of differentiation that will turn your guests into your advocates. If you lose out on a guest that won't appreciate or even won't like those differences, you may in fact be dodging a bullet in the long run. So you also want to make it convenient for your guests to book. You don't want to put all that effort into getting them to your site or point of sale and then put up a barrier to get the booking. We've seen plenty of sites that have very little information about the trip. They might require copious amounts of information or ask for payment information on unsecure websites. People booking online these days are getting much more savvy, so it's important to make them feel comfortable as possible to book. Simple things like if you're a member of any travel associations, particularly ones that require some sort of vetting or have a large number of reviews on a third-party site, people want to know that you're a reputable company before sending you their hard-earned money. Also, looking at your past booking data to understand your guests' booking habits and making sure you're accommodating those habits can go a long way. If you notice that everyone is booking last minute, making sure that you can handle that type of request could move the needle for you. Likewise, if they're all booking a year in advance, making sure you have departures listed on your site a year out allows them to book when they're ready. With the internet these days, we all know travelers are doing a lot more of their own research, which is good news for the operators who can't pour money into paid advertising or some of the more expensive distribution channels. So doing some digging to find out where your ideal guest is doing that research can prove very valuable. This is just another reason it can be very handy to have a focus on who your customer is. An art lover will be looking for trips in very different places than an adventure seeker. So basically, it's good to know who will enjoy your trips the most. It helps with your messaging, knowing where to find them, and it makes it easier for them, excuse me, to make a confident decision to hit that booking button. So once your guest has found you, being convinced you can provide them with the experience they are looking for and have booked, now it's showtime. It's time to provide them with the travel memories and experience of a lifetime. As a niche operator, this is your chance to blow them away with exclusive experiences that they would be hard-pressed to get on their own or through a mainstream brand. It's also your chance to make an impression on them that they will hopefully take home and share with your future guests. With the ever-present reality of social media in our lives, travelers are looking for more and more opportunities to show their friends and followers that they are doing things that no one else has done or is doing, and this is where you can really wow them. You probably have access to more authentic experiences and off the beaten path opportunities because you know the places you visit better than anyone. Something that may not seem all that exciting to you could be what makes a visitor's whole trip. We recently spoke to a traveler who went to Japan for 3 weeks, and one of his fondest memories was going to the grocery store with his guide and seeing and learning about the foods and cuisine that was traditional in Japan. These types of experiences don't have to be expensive, but can make a real impact on your guests. Again, knowing your target customer can help with this because you can show them the things that align with their interests, that give them incredible value, but don't have to be complicated to execute. They can even be surprise experiences, even if you have built it into the price of the tour. Another example we were told about was a tour that took a couple on a walk through a local park, and the guide just provided them with a picnic basket and a bottle of wine to enjoy in the park. It wasn't on the itinerary, but it provided that extra touch of something special. And people love feeling like they're getting something special and extra, and those things don't have to be over the top. Being professional as a tour operator is probably a no-brainer to most of you, but it goes a long way, especially when you are likely being compared with some larger outfits. Simple things like being punctual for transfers and hotel pickups and events show that you care about your guests and you value their time. Even though being on time may not seem like it's appreciated, you'll know the value of it if you're ever late. Sometimes things will happen that require plan changes, so part of running a professional tour is having a contingency plan for when these things do happen. You don't always have to have the answers, but showing that you can act and keep your guests safe is very important. This makes choosing your tour guides and representatives of your brand, so the places where you're accommodating your guests, the transport partners and activity partners you provide is crucial in how your guests will view your entire operation. And finally, making sure that you're at the very least delivering what you promised on your website or brochure, unless you have a very good reason not to. Most people are reasonable, so if you do have to make changes, always be upfront about it and keep communication open. So while on tour, it's easy to get preoccupied with the details and logistics of a trip, but just remember that most people travel to experience another way of life and to get away from their day-to-day lives. So by keeping these things top of mind, you can create real opportunities for them that will teach them how to be better humans. So just remembering that travel is one of the biggest investments in people's lives. So by showing them that you value their time and therefore their money, you can provide them with a positive experience that they'll be happy to share. So after the trip is done, there's a large opportunity to make a good impression on your guests, and we've seen a lot of companies that miss out on this opportunity. By engaging with your guests once they're back home, you open up the opportunity for them to become real advocates of your brand and even encourage future guests. So a couple ways to do this is by following up with your guests, which is a great way to get insight on how you can improve your experiences for future guests. It's your opportunity to get ideas, feedback, and even future product development ideas. If you can reach out to them within a reasonable amount of time of the end of their trip, while the experience is still fresh in their mind, you can extract some real value from them about what they loved and what could be improved on. By being genuinely interested in how they found the trip, they'll feel valued, which is what any customer of a brand wants. Don't wait until they've posted a negative review on a third-party site to try and respond or fix an issue that may have come up. By being proactive, they might be more likely to leave a favorable review. You can also ask them about future travel plans. Even if you may not be able to offer it to them, you can get some valuable insights into your target customer and their interests as you develop future products. So sharing is, again, sort of related to the social media trend that we're all very aware of. Many people like seeing their name in lights, so to speak, so offering them a chance to share their photos and memories is often an easy way for you to get new marketing material for your own social feeds and testimonials for your website. Just make sure that you credit them properly. Chances are, if you share their images, then they'll share your share, and it just sort of creates more and more exposure for your brand. Some travelers might even be writers and can provide content for your site in the form of blog posts or that type of thing. So it never hurts to ask, and third-party recommendations usually carry more weight than your own. So it's good to get as many of those as you can. Loyalty programs is another way that tour operators can sort of get some future business, but that we found many niche operators don't feel like it applies to them, because it might not be normal for them to get repeat guests because what they do is so targeted. But this can come in many flavors. You can offer, return guest discounts if they are going to come back, or referral programs, so that if, they're probably in groups and have family and friends that have similar interests to them. So if they can refer them and, the follow-up guests get a bit of a discount, then these people sort of act like your third-party sales force, if you will. These programs are huge amongst mainstream brands, and there's no reason that you can't leverage them as well. So basically, you don't want to let the last day of the trip be the last time that you engage with your guests. By keeping them updated with your brand, they're more likely to come back or send their friends to you, and that's sort of a built-in way to get your ideal guests on some of your trips. So sorry, I'm rolling through this a lot faster than I thought, but basically that kind of covers the three main parts of a trip that offer a lot of opportunity for you to add value to your guests and potential guests. So by knowing who you want on your trips makes it easier to find those people and give them the best possible experience. And by keeping in touch with them after the trip, it shows that they're appreciated, and will make them more likely to become those pseudo salespeople for you. Oops. So really that's all I had for now. I guess I don't know if Kirsty's got any questions there, but.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Natasha. So as Natasha said, let's jump into questions now. So if you have a question, just pop it into the chat box below and we'll get back to you. So we did already get through one question about when you were suggesting how to boost loyalty there. So Michelle Collins is asking, how do others encourage social sharing? She says that they struggle to get guests to post while they're on tour.
Yeah, that's a good question. We've seen some success with operators using that Instagram takeover idea. So even if the actual guests aren't posting on their own feeds, sometimes just getting them involved in the actual content, and making it easier for them to share existing content. Some of our partners have had some success with that. So, you know, I'm just going to use Instagram as an example. So if you're posting pictures of the group, tagging them, right, it's really easy for them to then share that on with their network if they're not as inclined to take their own pictures and go through the effort of captioning the images. So obviously it's going to depend a lot on the types of people on your trip, but if you're finding that there's some resistance there, just try and make it as easy as you can for them to share it if they're not going to connect, or if they're not going to create the content themselves.
Great. So Barbara has just shared a little piece of advice from her tour provider friend that lets them know that he'd love to see their photos, and provides the hashtags for users. He also acts as a photographer using their cameras when he believes they're in a picturesque place. So that's another good tip there, I guess. Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Barbara.
It looks like we don't have any more questions today. Quite a bunch this morning, or well, tonight, wherever you are. So it looks like that's all the questions we have, I believe. But of course, if you guys think of any more, you can always email Natasha at closetravel.com, or you can email myself at kirsty@travelmassive.com, and we'll get back to you. So thank you again, Natasha, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. Of course, don't forget to sign up for our next webinars as well. And I hope to see all of your names pop up next time as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kirsty.